I know that backlogs were another big issue. So when you came into the job, what did you notice, and how have you changed it?
Well, I noticed that it really wasn't a priority, that we just sort of accepted it. We became accepting of mediocre to low standards or higher wait times. And everybody said, well, that's just the way it is. I said, it shouldn't be that way. 125 days of processing a claim for disability was what we consider backlog. Now think about that. It's 4 months.
Yeah.
That was normal.
Were we caring enough about veterans, people who have given, have acknowledged that they would give anything, and they're all for us?
I think what we took for granted in some areas, but we also, here's the biggest issue, and I think I've got a great workforce. I think we had a workforce that was not focused, and I think that's the biggest issue. The biggest change that I made at the VA when I came in was not necessarily things we've done since. It was the day that I came in and said veterans are first, and that the VA is about a veteran. If the veteran doesn't exist, we have no job. And I think that all of a sudden it sort of woke up some. It took them a little bit to say, oh, so that time that they did have to wait for an appointment, that did matter. That time that they have to wait on disability claims, that matters. It's about putting an organizational focus on it. So I think they cared, but they were in an organization that said, this is normal.
Yeah.
And I said, this is not normal anymore.
It's also kind of a bureaucratic mindset that the paperwork matters because, well, my job is to process paperwork and to move papers from one pile to another. And I'm really contrasting what you're doing on the whole gynecology red tape elimination with Gavin Newsom, who vetoed twice a bill that basically helped women get coverage for menopause-related issues. Right. And it's such a contrast where, again, no bureaucracy versus more bureaucracy.
Well, it goes back to government control as well. Now, look, we're the largest healthcare organization in the world. Really, if you look at it from hospitals, we have 170 hospitals, 1,200 clinics, and that's 450,000 employees in total. But when you look at it and say, what is our job? Is our job to make ourselves bigger, or is our job to help the veteran who comes in? And again, we take that, when I freed them up from that, here's the paper push, to make sure and say, is this actually making sense? Is this the stupid question? And they say, no, we can do this better. It's freed them up to take care of veterans. And I think the president, that's what President Trump insists on all across government, is how are we doing the job that we're supposed to be doing, not what we made it. And I think that's the big issue.
Yeah. And I know that at the cabinet meeting, you brought something up, and it seems, again, common sense. That is, I could say that very frequently with what you do.
I'm so blessed that I have so much of that,
Yeah. But it was that the Department of War and the Department of Veterans Affairs really didn't communicate, didn't work together.
No. It was pretty amazing. But Pete and I have gotten together on that, and we understood it, because think about one of the complaints, and I've talked about this here at Newsmax a long time, that one of the problems with recruitment is you had military men and women who served who were telling their kids not to serve. And they were telling them because of the experiences they were having. Some, if they've gotten out, they were having problems with the VA or while they were serving in the DOD. And so we've got this, and I called it in the cabinet meeting, fraternal twin relationship. From the moment they raise their right hand and say, I'm coming in, till the moment if they want to be laid to rest in one of our national cemeteries, we have a commitment from start to finish. And when we're working together at that, making transition easier, making the benefits that they've earned available, that makes it so much easier to recruit on the front end because they know they're going to be taken care of on the back end.
And that's good.
You talked about your relationship with Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, and I got to ask you this real quickly about the whole claims of war crimes. Now, not only did you serve in uniform in our military, you were also a lawyer. You were not a military lawyer. I want to stress that. But I mean, these allegations, they obviously the admiral yesterday testified, no kill orders, but they're still screaming war crimes.
Well, what else are they going to? I mean, in many ways, this has become the controversy, and the whole thing is everything has to be before we know the facts. We're gonna make it out to the worst case scenario. Look, I've said this before on every side. All sides of arguments need to take at least that momentary breath. And unfortunately, they're so determined to get Pete, or they're so determined to get it at the president, they're not looking at the facts. And look, I think everything that so far has came out, they've made the case, they've made the legal argument. I'll leave it with them to do that. But I think at the bottom line, it really concerns me with some of the conversations with some of the senators and representatives who are questioning or making members question what their orders are as someone who served in uniform for 25 years. I remember when I was in my confirmation hearings, I would get this just stupid question. Well, if the president told you to do something wrong, would you do it? And I said, that's a hypothetical, stupid question. I'm not answering that because he's never asked me to, and you can never point to somewhere where he's actually done it.
Right.
I said, so quit this game.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.